Hi Stampers, it's Terry Hartley with Rustic Barn Cards, Paper Pumpkin February Bouquet of Hope. So we're going to look real quick and see what is in our kit, and then I'll make one of each design and show you some alternatives. So we have Mossy Meadow ink spot, we have a stamp set, and of course the ink and the stamp set are always reusable. And I'll always be here for you is one sentiment. Some flowers, a leaf. Sometimes they're kind of hard to read until you stamp them. Sorry for your loss. Sharing in your sorrow, thinking of you, and wishing I could be there to hold your hand. And then another stamp, a large one with bouquet of flowers and stems and ribbon. And then this tells us about next month. For March is Here's to You Paper Pumpkin Kit, and you also receive a free sponge and 4 free stencils. So that will be a nice addition. And also next month, a special box that's going to hold the Paper Pumpkin Kit. All right, so let's look at this month, which is February. I love how it's always a nice surprise, and I love the tissue paper. So we'll take this out, move the box, and I'm going to go ahead and open this, and we're going to see what's inside. So we have, in this kit, we have 3 different designs, and we have 3 different coordinating envelopes. We also have 3 different printed card bases. We have dimensionals. We have these beautiful gold foil die cuts. These gorgeous. And then we also have vellum with this gold foil around the vellum. And we have some die cuts. And also we have some labels. And then we also have, these are sticky, so we have some printed die cuts that are labels, and they already just peel them off and stick them right on. And what I like, we also have some different languages, so especially those of us that have pen pals in other countries, we can send our pen pal a card. So labels, and then we have the adhesive foil labels, and we also have mossy green twine. And these adhesive back sequins. And again, printed die cuts. So we are going to make one of each card, and then I'll show you some alternatives. For the first card we're going to make, we're going to use this card base. So go ahead and fold that in half. If you have a bone folder, you can go ahead and crease. Lay that aside. We're going to need, I'm going to punch out one of these labels. We're going to turn it this way. I am going to use my own Mossy Meadows, a little bit larger, and the larger glue dots just to make it a quicker round, a little bit easier. You will need one of the gold foil, and glue dots and dimensionals. And also the twine. So let's go ahead and bring in our sentiment. Sorry for your loss. So we'll go ahead and ink that up. So again, I'm going to make one of each, just like it says. Of each of the designs that is in the kit. And then we'll do some alternatives. So I'm going to put glue dots on the back of our gold foil. And of course you have glue dots in your kit. So I'm going to lay this in the center. And then I'm going to need about 15 inches of twine. And in your direction sheet, this is your direction sheet, you do have a little ruler at the bottom. And we're going to make this into a bow. I'll see if I can do this while you're watching. And there's different ways. Okay, one more time. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to add a couple of glue dots. Close together so we can lay our twine right on there. And bring our bow in. And then we're going to go ahead and turn our label over and pop it up with dimensionals. I've added 3 dimensionals. It may be good if I turn it around the correct way. And this just fits in right there in the middle. And then you can snip your twine if you need to. And we're going to bring in the sequins. And I'm going to use one of the larger ones. Put it up here. And I'll use a smaller one. Get that turned over right. And one more. And here is our first card. And that is how it is shown in our directions. So let's make the next design. So the next card, you need this card base. Rectangle label. We're going to use the sequins. And you'll need the printed bumblebee punched out, and then the large flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up. I'll always be here for you. Now, the first time you order a paper pumpkin kit, it will come with a block that you can use over and over, as well as your stamps and also your ink spots. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn this over and add glue dots. We're going to turn our card this way. will add this right here. And then we're going to go ahead and turn our bouquet of flowers over and pop that up with dimensionals. I've added dimensionals. I'm going to turn that over. We're going to go ahead and add this. That right here. And then we're going to go ahead and pop up our sentiment. So I have my dimensionals, and we're going to add that just a little bit right at the top of our bumblebee print. And then we're going to bring in, we're going to use one large sequin about right here, and the small down here, and another small one, if I can get that, and we'll put that right here. So here's our second card. Our last card, you need the, I want to say pink, but I now need to get the right color. So that would be Ricoh Rose card base. And then we're going to need the gold foil vellum. And we'll need 2 of the flowers. So we're first thing, and also the label, the like thinking of you. So I'm going to use the English. So I'm going to turn this over. And add blue dots. There we go. And then I'm going to put that right up here in the corner. Now let's turn it a little bit like that. And then we'll add glue dots to our second flower die cut. And we will add that right down here. And hopefully there's enough room for the thinking of you. We'll find out, right? So, make sure I just have one. And I do. So I'm going to kind of just cut around the thinking of you. So, because I only want to get one off of there, not 2. So I'm going to lay that aside. And then we will peel this off. There we go. So it's just going ahead and peeling this off. A little trickier than it looks, so let's see, maybe I can just kind of, there we go, kind of pull the backing. I think it's easier to kind of pull the backing off rather than trying to lift up on the sentiment. So can you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of pulling this backing off. I want to get that out of the, there's some pieces that you'll need to take out, like in the Y. So I'm taking my time because I don't want to tear it. And I just about have it. Great. Okay, so now we will get this down here. I think I need one more hand there. Okay, so we're going to add thinking. There we go. thinking of you. You don't need that. All right, thinking of you. Then we're going to bring in the little flowers. Go ahead and punch that out. We're going to turn this over. And add a dimensional. And pop that up about right here. Then we're going to turn this over and add our glue dots. Now you want to put your glue dots where they won't be seen. So you want to put them behind the label. And I think I can get 3 on the behind the top flower, and I can get 1 over here. We popped up that small flower, and then I can add 1 on the other flower. Well, we'll add more than 1. We'll probably put 2 or 3. And I think 1 more. All right, so I have 3 behind this label, 3 here, and 1 here. So then when I turn it over, you don't see that. And then we'll bring this in, and we will line it up on our card base. And get it straight. And here we go, thinking of you. Now it looks like I probably need to add 1 more. So I'm just going to bring in, take your pick tool and kind of put it behind one of the flowers. And you can't really see it. And there we go. So we have the 3 cards, thinking of you. I'll always be here for you. And sorry for your loss. And these are the 3 that are made from exactly from the directions in our kit. So now I will show you some alternatives. So for our first alternative card, we're going to use basic white cardstock for our base. And then I'm going to bring in the Roco Rose and the flower image from our paper pumpkin kit. So move that aside. I'm also going to be using some Stampin' Blends. Now I am going to ink this up in the Roco Rose. I know often when we use blends, we do say that we should use the Memento Black. And the reason that we use the Memento Black is so the Stampin' Blends won't bleed. But you can use another color. You just have to be aware. That the colors can bleed. Now I do have one of these already colored, but I wanted just to kind of quickly show you. So I'm just using Daffodil Delight, Roco, however you say the Roco, this color. Okay. Sometimes I can say it correctly, and sometimes I can't. They're just Jade and Light Olive. So I just decided that some of the flowers would be yellow. And you can bring in the dark daffodil and for the center. And then just, so basically you're just coloring in the flowers. And I made my flowers 3 different colors. And then I used the Just Jade excuse me, use the old olive rather. I use the old olive for the leaves. I use Just Jade for flowers. And then you can use some dark old olive and you can use light old olive. And then after I have it all colored, I went ahead and used an oval. And I die cut the oval out. And it looks like this. And then I, using a layer 4 by 5 1/4, and I went ahead and used the painted texture 3D embossing folder. And if you watch any of my videos in the last month or so, I've really been using this 3D embossing folder a lot because I think it just adds something to our card. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this onto our card base, and then we'll do a little bit more stamping. So I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. I use both liquid glue and Stampin' Seal. Just kind of depends, I guess, on what I'm doing. But if I want to be able to have a chance to move something around, I will use the liquid glue because you can move it a little bit. So I used Memento black ink, and I stamped "I'll always be here for you," and I did that on a scrap piece of basic white cardstock, and I went ahead and already have that cut out. And I'm going to be using one of the flowers from our paper pumpkin kit. And then the DSP Flowers Filled Designer Series paper. This coordinates with this month, with February's paper pumpkin kit. So I went ahead and cut 1 inch. It's 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. Now let me tell you, how do you get this Designer Series paper? Well, you can get that free from Celebration. Celebration is only going to be on through February 28th. So just a few days left. But you can choose if you purchase $50, you can choose an item out of Celebration. Although there are some items that you need to spend a little bit more to choose that item. So here's a Flower Field and Designer Series paper. And also, if you already received paper pumpkin kits, or maybe you're thinking about it, if you do a 3-month prepaid paper pumpkin subscription, that's $63, and you would earn a 1-level gift from the Celebration catalog. So that is something for you to think about. And you can contact me at rusticbarncards.com, and there's some more contact information down below the video. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over and add some adhesive. This is really pretty. That's the problem with Designer Series paper. Both sides are so pretty, it's hard to decide which side that you want to use. And then I'm going to bring in and pop this up on some dimensionals. So I have the dimensionals added. And we'll turn this over. And then we're going to turn over our sentiment, and we're going to add some small We're going to add the smaller dimensionals. The larger ones might fit, but I know the mini dimensionals will work great. And we're going to put this right here. Then I'm going to pop this up for over here. So I've added 3 dimensionals, and let's see how and we'll just pop that up right here. Bring in some embellishments, those little sequins from our kit. And put one right here. One down here. I think the sticky it went off of that one, so we'll do that. And we'll add one of the larger ones. And here's our first alternative card. I'll always be here for you. So we use several elements from our paper pumpkin kit for February. The sentiment, the stamped image of the flowers, the flower die cut, and the sequins. And this coordinates with the envelope that comes in the paper pumpkin kit. The next card I'm using Mary Merlot, Mossy Meadow, and Crumb Cake for the ink. Going to be using this label right here for the card, our twine, and then from our designer series paper, the Field and Flowers and Field designer series paper, and I'm going to be using a strip of this right there. So I decided to start out, and I already have one made, so this isn't the exact size. You'll need basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm using the flowers from our Bouquet of Hope stamp set. And I'm going to start with Mary Merlot. I'm going to bring in just a little scratch grid paper because I'm going to be stamping off. So I'll ink up my flowers. I'm going to stamp off. And then I'm just going to randomly stamp the flowers. So I'm just going to go ahead and just pretend that's all the layer that we want. And then I'll close this ink pad. And I'm going to add some leaves using the Mossy Meadow. There are 2 leaves in the Bouquet of Hope for February stamp set. I'm going to use the larger one. And then I'm just going to ink up the Mossy Meadow. And again, I'm going to stamp off. And you could use a smaller one too. So I'm just going to add leaves here and there. And then I would add a few more. And the last thing, I'm going to bring in the crumb cake. And I'm going to be bringing in from A Touch of Ink. And the way you receive this is by placing a $100 order during celebration, again, which is over on February 28th. And I'm going to use this little stamp right here, this little dots. And the reason that it looks larger than it does on the stamp set, this particular stamp set, the images are only 65%, so it only shows 65%, so they are larger images inside. And then I would ink up the crumb cake and again stamp off because I want just very lightly fill in all of the spaces that don't have color. Okay, now let me show you what this looks like. This card is finished, so this is the background that's what I was showing you here. So I did that on basic white, and then I added the strip of Designer Series paper, and I folded it under this layer first, and then I added the layer in this to my card base. I stamped using the label from our paper pumpkin kit, sharing in your sorrow, thinking of you, and wishing I could be there to hold your hand. I made our twine into a bow, and I tucked some underneath with a glue dot, and then I put 2 glue dots on the front before I added the label so the twine would adhere, and then I popped up the label, and I added 3 of the little sequins. So here is the second alternative card. Let me show you one more. For this next card layout, it's a little bit different, so I'm going to use the basic white, and I'm also going to be using one of the card bases from the kit. So I'm going to cut this at 4 1/4. Get it lined up there. By 11. So this would make 2 cards. Then I'm going to turn, and I'm going to score this at 5 1/2. And then I'm going to cut off 2 3/4 from one end, which will be the front of our card. Like this. Okay, let me lay this aside. And then this folds in half. And then we'll lay this aside. And then I have taken this card base, it's in our paper pumpkin kit, and I have cut one piece 5 1/4 by 4. Which is this piece right here, and it will go inside our card base. And then I have trimmed 4 inches by 2 1/2, and we're going to place this right here. And then you have enough for that card base to cut 4 by 3 7/8. And then that way, the piece that we cut off, that was 2 3/4, will fit right on top of here. Okay, let's go ahead and add some of our card base, or now it's going to be a layer on our card. Okay, we'll place this right in here. We will be adding another layer of basic white, so you can write your name. So I'm going to add adhesive to our other layer, which was a card base from the paper pumpkin kit. But now we're going to be using it to decorate this card. And then I'm going to bring in, I use the stitched So Sweetly dies. And I use this die here to cut this out. And we are going to place it inside so you have some room to write. Okay, and now we're going to bring this in, and I have already stamped Sorry for Your Loss. So we're going to go ahead and attach this. And you could pop it up if you wanted to. I'm going to adhere it because I do want, it is going to be on the front of our card and open up. So we're going to go ahead and add this, and then we're going to finish decorating it. So I'm going to bring in my liquid glue for this. And I'm just going to kind of I think before I do that, I was going to add some twine. And actually, I was going to add twine on this basic white before I attached it to this layer. But I think we can go ahead and add our twine now. So we'll just do it. And I'm going to make a bow on the left-hand side. And bring that down below. There we go. There we go. And then you can just hold the middle and get it like you want. And find my snips. There we go. Okay, now we will attach this. And once again, I'm going to place it on here. And then kind of hold it right there. And then I'm going to put the glue on this side. And I am going to use the liquid glue. To attach this piece. I'm going to be a little more liberal with the glue than I normally am, because I want it to adhere well. And then I'm going to open this up and lay it this way so I can see that I have all the glue. And then I'm going to quickly turn it because I want to make sure that I have it straight. And then I'm just going to hold it just for a second to make sure it gets a good firm pressure, or so it will adhere well. So I'm going to bring in another flower die cut from our kit, and we'll go ahead and pop that up. So I have the dimensionals on the back, and we're going to pop that up right here on our card. Sorry for your loss. We're going to bring in those sequins and add these to our card. And here's our card, Sorry for Your Loss. So let's look at the cards that the alternative cards. We had 3. So we have this card, Sharing in Your Sorrow, thinking of you and wishing I could be there to hold your hand. And I'll always be here for you. So these are the alternative cards that I'm sharing with you. Let me know which one that you like the best. I'd appreciate that. And again, if you do not have a demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. And then the 3 cards from the directions of the kit are right here. So 6 cards today. So I hope this helped you know how to put the cards together. And again, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing by clicking that subscribe button. And I have my contact information down below. Thank you for watching Quick Tip Monday, and have a great week.